And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Phoenix International Raceway as we prepare for the Facebook 400 qualifying race number 2. A total of 3 drivers will transfer their way into the second race of the Season 3 Snickers Cup Series. And we are going to be giving you the starting lineup in just mere moments. But before we do that, a few stories about some of these drivers here in this field who we're going to be seeing in some new-looking rides here today, as well as in the recent future. You see Stephen Dillon starting there in second. He's got Discount Tire sponsoring him this week instead of Penske on that number 12 Dodge. Also, you're going to see in this field the 51 of Jacob Lawler. Not exactly sure where he's starting, but he drives the number 51 car, while that car is actually being sponsored by HendrickCars.com, the 51 car that Kurt Busch drove in the Daytona 500. So he's in that ride for the rest of the season. And the guy starting off 7th in this field, John Dawson, in the number 95 Dodge. There are some rumors circling that he may be switching over to a Ford for next week's race, and he's going to be sponsored, I believe, by WRL. So there is rumors about that happening as well. So some drivers that are outside the top 35 trying to qualify their way into these different races are here trying to do it. Pretty much trying to get better race cars to be able to qualify their way in to at least one event this season. While the drivers we had transfer in the last race are making their first career starts, we may have 3 more drivers making their first career NNSCRA starts, as we will now show you the starting lineup. Now, Stephen Dillon, I believe, is the only driver in this field who actually raced in the Daytona 500, but has to qualify his way into next week's race. Green flag is out. Justin Perry does a good job getting a start there to get right ahead of second place Stephen Dillon. Actually, I think there were a few other drivers in this field that... Oh, Robert Cruz in the wall, and he saves it. Good save by the 50 car. He and Jeff Ehlers got together, but they held on to it somehow. Look at Stephen Dillon all over the back bumper of Justin Perry. He wants by for the lead. Remember, the top 3 spots will transfer, but it is Justin Perry at the line, and the caution is out. And we will take a look now and see what we're under the caution for the first time today. We got 3 Dodges inside the top 4. And it looks like the caution is going to come out for rookie William Duncan as well as Alexander Dawson in the 62 car. Let's take a look here. Now we know that there's contact between Jeff... Oh, right there. Levi Shones gets into Jake Johnson and Jake Rogers. That's the first wreck, but up here you see Robert Cruz, Christopher Blake. They get into each other. They somehow saved it, but Alexander Dawson did not. He came down into William Duncan. Look at Michael Harvey on the high side. Just squeak his way by. Mighty, mighty close there. And there's Mark George in the 72 car. Is he going to get through? Yes, he is. Oh, I think Pichu London makes some contact further up there with Jake Berger, though. Aaron Reed is into the back of William Duncan. And, oh, Alexander Dawson got flipped over by somebody. Jake Johnson, you see there. Also going down the infield there is the Bob Marshall machine. Matthew Rodriguez gets into this. Oh, so does Matthew McCormick. So does Ricky James. There were a lot of cars involved in this, and I didn't even realize it. Sasha Dawson was in it. Dylan Poteet does a good job getting by there, but... There's the HendrickCars.com car of Jacob Lawler. He got a piece of it as well. But the car that we watched most is that car right there, the 62. Oh, Tanner Sullivan had some damage as well. Seth Cole had damage. We know Levi Shones did. Bob Marshall, I think, went for a spin in the infield. But several different drivers here involved here on the very first lap of the race. Well, 3 drivers have retired as a result of this race. I apologize for that. Ended up having something with automatic updates telling me I had to update my computer. Anyway, they are Rachel Williams, Jake Johnson, and Alexander Dawson. So they've retired. I'm not certain how Rachel Williams got involved. I think maybe she was the one that nailed Alexander Dawson and flipped him over. I think so. Anyway, here's the way they run. I'll give you the top 10. Justin Perry, Stephen Dillon, Jeff Ehlers, John Dawson, Robert Cruz, Christopher Blake, Jake Berg, Michael Harvey, Pichu London, and Mark George are your top 10. Green flag is back out. Remember, the top 3 will transfer in to the Facebook 400. And Stephen Dillon wants by Justin Perry. Dillon raced in the Daytona 500. So did Matthew Rodriguez, and I'm trying to remember who the other driver was. I think it was Jake Berg in the 20. Those 3 drivers are in this field trying to qualify their way into this week's Phoenix race in the Snickers Cup Series. Is the caution out again? No, we're still green. Wow. And Stephen Dillon has gotten to the inside of Justin Perry. Dillon wants to go into Phoenix with some momentum if he can qualify his way into the race. Still green. Stephen Dillon leads now by just a few inches. Jeff Ehlers, John Dawson, they want Stephen Dillon to get by Justin Perry because then that would help secure a second position for Jeff Ehlers, and John Dawson would be able to slide his way into the top 3. I'm seeing a lot of vigor out of these Dodges. There are 4 of them in the top 5. Dillon, Dawson, Perry, and Christopher Blake there in 5th. Here's the battle for the final transfer spot. John Dawson to the inside. Pole sitter Justin Perry slipping up high. He now will get bypassed for that spot. Meanwhile, a battle back there for the 5th spot. Christopher Blake under fire from Jake Berg. Berg does not want to end up missing the race just because of a bad finish. Berg has been a long-time regular in the NNSCRA. Not a champion yet, but he wants to make sure he's going to get in to this week's Phoenix race. I'm surprised we've had a nice long green flag run. This is pretty unusual. But they're doing pretty well here. This is the first time we've had a green flag run here in the middle of a race. We had a nice little green flag run to the checkers in the first qualifying race of the Snickers Cup Series yesterday, but Jake Berg's going to get by for the 5th position on Christopher Blake. Meanwhile, Justin Perry trying to regroup. He started on the pole, has slipped all the way back to 4th. That would put him outside of the 3 transfer spots, so he needs to get by John Dawson for that position. And I believe, Jeff Ehlers is going to take a chance and try and bypass Stephen Dillon. Now, if he got to the inside of Stephen Dillon, that would stick Dillon on the high side, and Stephen Dillon could be the same as Justin Perry, fall from 1st back to the 3rd position, or even back to 4th there with those other 2 Dodges, John Dawson and Justin Perry, lined up. Things are pretty doggone spread out, though, no doubt about that. Jeff Ehlers to the inside. Can he put the squeeze job on the 12? Into turn 3, he'll try. No, instead, John Dawson gets to his inside. This is bad news for Ehlers in the 97. He's now going to get caught on the high side. He's got to try and race it out now with John Dawson, and I got to hope and pray that Justin Perry's not going to get back to his inside, but it looks like Perry is going to do just that. Now Justin Perry to the inside of Jeff Ehlers, but he wants more. He thought about going for 2nd place on John Dawson, now has to be content with taking the 3rd position away from the Extends Toyota of Jeff Ehlers. Now Ehlers is going to have to regroup, get right back to that inside line, make sure that Jake Berg does not catch up to him. We got 3 laps to go, and now the transfer spots would go to all Dodges, Stephen Dillon, John Dawson, and Justin Perry. But Jeff Ehlers is there in that 4th position. Jake Berg starting to catch up there in 5th, starting to make it a 5-man fight for those 3 transfer spots. We got Pichu London, we got Robert Cruz, and Christopher Blake. They're back there in 6th, 7th, and 8th, but they've got a little bit of time still to make up in order to catch the 5th place car of Jake Berg. We have 2 laps to go. There's the 3 drivers, Stephen Dillon, John Dawson, and Justin Perry, who would transfer in. But if Justin Perry was able to get underneath John Dawson or something, Jeff Ehlers may be able to battle at the stripe between John Dawson and himself for that third spot. But the three Dodgers remain single file. Jeff Ehlers needs to get to the inside of one of these Dodges. Meanwhile, up front, maybe a battle for the win between John Dawson and Stephen Dillon. White flag has been displayed. Here we go. It's John Dawson, Stephen Dillon, Justin Perry, all side by side. Dawson gets to the inside line of the Stephen Dillon machine, but Ehlers is quite a ways back. I don't know if he'd be able to challenge for that third position. Here we go, off turn 4 for the final time. Stephen Dillon gets a little loose, but he may battle back here on the high side. No, he won't. John Dawson wins, but Stephen Dillon and Justin Perry will transfer their way into the Facebook 400. Well, I'll tell you what, if John Dawson wants to transfer to a Ford, I would strongly advise against it. He was pretty doggone strong in that Dodge. We'll have to see if he's going to stick with that 95, because I'll tell you what, he was one strong Dodge today in that Rusty's number 95 Dodge Avenger. And three Dodges will transfer their way in, Stephen Dillon being the other, and Justin Perry, the pole sitter, will also transfer his way in. Jeff Ehlers, Jake Berg, Pichu London, Robert Cruz, Christopher Blake, Mark George, and Dylan Poteet just so close. Seth Cole finished 11th, Sasha Dawson 12th, Michael Harvey 13th. You can see where the rest of them finished. Matthew Rodriguez, a regular, did not make it. He finished in 15th. And, where's the other regular? Oh, Jake Berg finished in the 5th position. He will not transfer his way in either, so...